Hey there, guys. Welcome back to New World Old Soul. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome to North Idaho's maybe best podcast, hosted at the back of a barn by two people named Melissa and Jeremy, both of whom are very, very tall.
Now we realize that's a really niche category, but we'll take it.
I think we're number one. I'm pretty sure.
Maybe in that exact category.
I hope we qualify.
Yeah. So today we have something totally different planned for you guys because we get a lot of questions, some of which we've avoided just because they're a little too personal or a little too juicy, but nothing was off limits today. So we're going to jump in. But before we do, we ask that you please hit that subscribe button. We do realize that a lot of you guys watch on television, but if you could just grab your phone or your laptop or whatever device you have and hit subscribe, it helps us tremendously to get great quality guests for you guys. And we realize that 70% of our watchers are not subscribed.
70%?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
All right. Ready to jump in?
Yeah. Are we ready? You put this out on Facebook, basically saying, hey, nothing's off limits here. Ask us whatever you'd like. We're going to respond to it. There were some common themes that emerged. So we're going to jump into that and be as honest and transparent with you guys as we possibly can be.
Yeah. So let's go with the most frequent question. This was probably like 50% of the questions revolved around money and finances. This is kind of like the one question you're never supposed to ask anyone, but we said ask us anything. And they did. They came pouring in.
I mean, historically, we've been very open and honest about this with you guys from the very start of our YouTube channel, really, and making this big leap in risking it all, coming here to North Idaho to build our dream.
Yep.
So, yeah, what specifically were the questions, though, so we can address them?
Okay, so I guess there were actually more of like accusations originally. Like, are you guys trust fund babies? Did you guys are you just rich people that moved out to the middle of nowhere? So one of the questions was, how did you financially prepare? Did you just already have this huge lump sum of money?
We have videos about this specific topic over on the Good Simple Living side of things. I think we've kind of brushed over it and addressed it here on the podcast. But basically, we saved every single penny that we could for an extended period of time.
About 10 years.
About 10 years, we limited our spending. And then a big portion of the nest egg that we had in coming out here came from our home equity with the sale of a rental property that we had over in Washington State, as well as the home that we were living in Battleground.
Yeah, we started investing in real estate when we were 23 years old, turned our first house into a rental. When the market crashed, we bought another house that was a short sale about to be a bankruptcy. So we picked up that home really, really cheap. And then as the market went back up around 2020, we sold both houses and we're out here.
Yeah, that didn't make us rich. I think we came here. How much money did we have? We had like
$350,000, but we had no home, no power, no running water.
Good times.
No toilet. So $350,000 sounds like a lot of money, but when you don't have a house and you just have a big off-grid hayfield, you really have to get to work.
So the money that we had managed to save ahead of time went toward purchasing our property here, which property costs at the time were much, much lower than they are now. Had we waited another 6 months to purchase this property, we couldn't have afforded it. Fortunately, we were able to make the purchase in full using cash. And then, like I said, we had that $350,000-ish, which is a good chunk of money, but understand that all of that came from our real estate investment, like we mentioned here a second ago. So no, we aren't rich people. We aren't trust fund babies. We're just normal, everyday people who had a single income for an extended period of time, really focused on limiting our spending. And that's what enabled us to do what it is that we've done.
Yeah. So we came here with $350,000. We had a house to build. So that was kind of, if all else fails, because we did quit our jobs, and if all else fails, we have this amount of money to build a smaller house with.
Correct.
But we decided to try to make a go at YouTube. It was erupting on the scene. We saw other families and other people starting YouTube channels during the whole pandemic. It was like a really popular thing. There were travel channels and vlogs and all kinds of stuff. So we thought, well, why don't we document our journey moving out here, building our dream home, and we'll see if couple of people will watch it and maybe it'll help buy us groceries.
So this ties into an additional question about how it is that we again managed to do everything it is that we've done without seemingly having any jobs, right? Because I believe one of the questions was,
do you have jobs?
Do you have jobs? And yeah, we do. We do this.
We're video
you're watching
creators,
it right now.
Yeah.
We're video creators. YouTube, for the overwhelming majority of people who are doing it, it is a business, whether it be a small business or whether it be an empire for the people who are doing it at a very high level. Right. We're a mom and pop operation here. We do the best that we can. We don't have a staff. We don't have a payroll. We don't have employees. A lot of people do. We don't have an editor. We don't have people that do our thumbnails. We do everything from start to finish, from emails to follow up to recording to making thumbnails to we do all of it ourselves.
Yeah, we wear all the hats. So in wearing all the hats, we work 7 days a week, 12-hour days, constant work.
Too much. We work far too much.
Yeah. So that is our job. We take it very seriously. We take it like we own a business. We are business owners, and that kind of encompasses Facebook, Instagram, Reels, all of that stuff, integrations, product integrations.
Yeah, and I get that a lot of the people who watch don't fully understand the way that works, and there's a lot of speculation about how that plays out. Again, it's a lot of work, and we work very hard for what it is that we have, as so many of us do, and we've been tremendously blessed along the way to have it work out very favorably. I think the biggest part of it for us is that we were debt-free. We are debt-free. We've mentioned that here in the podcast, done a full episode on that. That enables us, that gives us so much freedom to tackle so many of these big projects, which I think leads to the speculation about where all of our money comes from. Like recently, we just installed asphalt here in our property, did the driveway, did the area between our barn here and our home. And it was a massive expense, but it fueled so much speculation. And there were people on that video in particular that were like, oh, you guys spent 6 figures. We didn't spend anywhere near 6 figures. A brand new car costs more than what it is that we spent to get the driveway paved. I think it was a big project, and a lot of what we've done over on the Good Simple Living side of things are massive projects that are very big expenses.
So we just still drive our older cars that are paid off and everything. So we're just investing our money into our property instead of things like vehicles. And
correct.
Toys.
And I think, again, I've mentioned this before as well, but so we lose a lot of money on so many of our videos because the revenue generated by these individual projects, like we didn't pay for the asphalt by making a video about the asphalt installation. We lost a lot of money on that, but we viewed it as an investment in ourselves and our property. And so we were happy to do it. I'm ecstatic at the end result.
But really, if you can do YouTube at any kind of even a mediocre level, you can make a very, very good living for yourself. We're not going to pretend that we don't make a good living on YouTube. We absolutely do. It's been a tremendous blessing. Yep. And all of that is, again, I don't think people understand that. It's not about, there's another specific question. How much money do you make off your subscribers?
We make zero money off of subscribers. Nobody makes money on YouTube or any of these social media platforms based on the number of followers or subscribers that they have. Basically, YouTube is just an ocean of marketing and advertising, and so kind of like TV, the amount of eyeballs that you can get on your end result product that you're offering up results in how much money you are able to make for yourself. So there are a lot of channels out there. Like I always see people like, hey, this is a huge channel. I'm like, well, it might look like a huge channel because these people have millions of subscribers, but understand that's if you do YouTube, you know that you can have a channel with very low subscriber amounts that make a lot of money, and vice versa. You can have a channel that has millions of subscribers, but that channel really doesn't generate all that much revenue. So something to be mindful of if you want to have a grasp and understanding of how the space works.
Yeah, it's really just about views, because the more views you get or the longer they watch, the more Google ads can be placed on the video. So creators get paid from the AdSense. So there's 2 ways to get paid. One is taking on sponsors yourself. So when we do our commercials or our 60 to 90 second integrations where we're selling a product in the middle of a video, that's working with a brand independently. And for the channels that don't do that and they just run the random ads, they're getting paid from Google. Basically like a television show or a TV network would get paid for their ad space. So that's how you make money on YouTube.
And not to make this a YouTube discussion by any means, but a lot of channels will not do paid sponsorships within their videos, kind of like you see us do. But the reason that we do them is because we don't like to have our revenue hinge solely upon how generous Google wants to be. Because again, if Google is responsible, YouTube is responsible for pushing your video out to a new audience. If they are unwilling to do that for whatever reason, you are now limiting the amount of revenue that you are able to generate for yourself, as opposed to remaining somewhat independent and relying upon yourself and our own ability to make that money.
Yeah.
Separately from YouTube.
Yeah, and I kind of like promoting brands that we actually like or use and that we can pick.
Correct.
Versus just random Google ads.
We have no control over the ads that you guys see while watching the video. So if you get political, because we get angry comments all the time about, why is this Trump or Biden commercial popping up? I didn't realize you guys were supporters of this candidate or that. We're not endorsing anybody.
We don't pick those.
Those ads fall completely outside of our control.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get through the YouTube questions, because then the questions get really juicy and personal. Ooh. So, okay. On the YouTube front, will the show end when the build is over?
No is the short answer. This is what we do. We jumped into this. We committed to doing it for as long as it's fun, is what I've always said. As long as we enjoy doing it, and as long as it's worthwhile for us to do, we will continue to do it. It's always, the focus has always been just about us and our family. I understand that, over the last few years, my phone's dinging. Over the last few years, we've been building. So that's really, it was never our intention to make that the primary focus, but it's what we've been doing. So moving forward, we do have a number of additional projects that we'd like to do, but things will evolve and change over time. I can't tell you exactly what that's going to look like yet, because we don't necessarily know what the future has in store. But yeah, we're going to continue to do this.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, guys, that's what we're doing. No, I'm just joking. No, we love it. Would we do it all again?
You answered this time.
Okay. You're talking really fast, like a micro machine.
I just want to make sure we have a lot of questions.
Yeah, we do.
We're going to try to address all of these, and I want to make sure that we're not dragging this on for 4 hours. So.
Okay. Yes, I would do it all again. YouTube has been a tremendous blessing. Moving out here was very scary. We could not figure out how to make it work. I remember very vividly praying in the shower, because the shower is my church, for God to show us a way to move out into the middle of nowhere onto our dream property that was supposed to be a retirement plan.
Yeah.
But I'm like, no, we want to go right now. And then we found YouTube, and it really has been the path. And I do feel like this is where we're supposed to be and what we're supposed to be doing, and that it was a kind of a calling.
I feel like we're going to be starting a whole bunch of new YouTube channels on here with people that are listening and entertaining the idea, which is a great thing. I'm all for independence and self-sustainability. So yeah,
there's so many interesting stories and people and wealth of knowledge to be found on YouTube. So it's really cool. Why such crazy titles and thumbnails?
You tell me, Melissa. You tell me.
So, okay. The title and thumbnail thing has been a controversy. I see it across channels. Anytime somebody does something where they're like, or, like, why is your mouth open? Why do you look so excited? Why do you look sad? Why do you sensationalize something that's going on?
So oftentimes the comments we get are from regular viewers who are saying, why are you doing this? I'm going to watch regardless. We understand that. We wholeheartedly appreciate that. Thank you so much. However, it's done more so to try to attract new viewers, right? Or even those people who see our content put out. And this goes across the board for, I think, like 99% of YouTube channels.
It's very difficult to get new eyes. It used to be easier to get new eyes on your videos because there were less YouTube channels. But now there are so many, and YouTube can only recommend so many, that if your title and thumbnail doesn't pop out the gate, your video is going to die. And when you put 40 hours into making a video, you spend all week on one video. You want to maximize the visibility of that. And so it's never targeted at you guys. It's never targeted at our regular viewers. It's to try to get new eyes. So please don't be offended or feel like we're trying to like, haha, gotcha. Because we know that you guys are there no matter what. And we could just say, installing flooring planks, we're tired. And you guys would click on it and watch, and we appreciate that. But no one new would. That's
not true for most people, though, even with the people who watch on a regular basis. Of course, you want to try to make it as interesting and intriguing as possible to get people to click and get people to watch your video. And so just like with products at the supermarket, they'll make it as loud and attractive as possible to try to get your attention so that you hopefully purchase whatever it is that they're offering.
Yeah.
Also, with titles in particular, what viewers don't understand, what other YouTubers will understand, is that there's this weird algorithmic algebra to where you can tweak a title. Like, people have asked us about why we change titles along the way. It's because it's basically all experimentation, to where you plug something in and it'll have a dramatic effect on how a given video performs. So it can be as simple as adding a certain word or taking a certain word out. It's a really bizarre thing, to where the input matters a lot, but it's all a mystery. It's a roll of the dice. So we can try one title, and if we see that it's not responding, we've had instances where literally we have just changed or tweaked one word, and a video will then take off. And again, this is something that YouTubers understand. This is not something that the audience on that side of things,
they're like, what are you doing?
Gets. Yeah. So that's the reason for a lot of that.
Yeah. It's basically like designing the cover of a book or the cover of a movie, or if you watch television and they have the picture like Deadliest Catch and they're all like on the ocean or something like that. It's always very dramatic. You want something that is going to be like, that looks interesting for a new viewer, click. So that's why.
And there's an element of artistry to go along with it, and then your branding. And what dictates it oftentimes is something else that the audience doesn't understand, is that YouTube provides us quote unquote creators with actually fabulous analytics to look through and look over, and gives you a lot of insight into what people are responding favorably to hopefully provide you with some advantageous information to operate with.
Yeah.
So that's the reason for all of that.
All right, moving on. How did we get comfortable with having our family and our children on YouTube?
Go ahead.
All right. I don't know that we're totally comfortable with it. I don't think there is a way to be completely comfortable with putting your children on the internet. I guess it's really no different than putting them on a personal Facebook page or something like that that's public, only you have way more eyes on it. And there are creeps in the world, and you do have to be aware of that. We have not personally had any issues, but I know other channels have. So it's something that we're always hyper aware of. We're very protective of our kids. People are asking, like, would you ever do a meet and greet? Things like that. I don't know that we would ever say we're going to be at this place and time at this time and just welcome everybody to come. Or like, are you ever going to do an Airbnb on your property? No, we're not, because then it's like your children live there and then you don't know who's booking that Airbnb, and then you're welcoming them to your address and to freely come on your property. I just feel like it's a little risky.
I'd say never. Who knows what the future has in store? But for the time being, in the immediate future, yeah, we have zero intentions of doing
on our property,
anything along those lines. And this is something that has changed and evolved for me, and I think for us over time. Where in the beginning, really didn't think much of it. Put the kids on videos, show what they're doing, they're talking, yada yada, all that.
The viewership was lower. And like, we love documenting, like Eli loves having his birthday recorded. He's like, where's my birthday video? He loves having a birthday video. The other kids don't really. So we'll show like just 30 seconds of their birthday if we show it at all. But Eli loves to have a birthday video. But when we first did the first one, the viewership was way lower and I didn't think much of it. It was like a home video. But as it's grown, I feel like we've tried to like kind of scale back a little bit on that. And he's like, hey,
yeah, for a number of reasons. I will say, and I've mentioned this before on the podcast, is that it does make me slightly uncomfortable when it comes to the kids, because we chose this for ourselves. They didn't choose to do YouTube and have their life put out there. So we try to be respectful of their privacy. And, it's complicated growing up, and during your formative years, you don't necessarily want to have 100,000 plus people watching you go through awkward stages and
voice cracks,
new life experiences and all that. So YouTube has always been a very fun thing for us, but we try to be mindful and respectful of the kids. And there are a lot of things that have happened over the years with like pedophilia rings and people using coded language within the comments section to communicate with others about portions of your videos where kids will be featured. And so these are all things that have led to us over time becoming a little more and more reluctant to focus on the kids within our videos. So I get that everyone likes watching, the kids on YouTube grow up.
Us included.
Yeah, us included. I've enjoyed, we actually don't watch, I don't want to say any, but we don't watch videos that kind of fall in line with what it is that we do at all. And so prior to us doing that, though, I did enjoy watching, kids grow up over the years. It's always interesting to see. But when it comes to our kids, it's just changed and evolved over time to where we've like
scaled back on it.
Scaled back and done it very sparingly and hopefully in a very respectful manner.
Yeah, we try to, like, a lot of times if you just see them playing Frisbee or something like that, they don't even know that they're being filmed. Like, I'll try to like stay super far back so that they're just, I never want to interrupt their play or anything like that. There's sometimes when we have scheduled videos where it's like, okay, we're going to film, this is a family video, like maybe a Christmas special, but that's not Christmas Day. That's like December 3rd or something that we're like, we're going to go make a Christmas special video. Or when we went to Hawaii, we filmed 5 days and we didn't film 5 days, which is why we stayed extra long, because it's like, okay, we're going to make a really great, memorable family video, but then we're going to leave cameras at the Airbnb and we're going to enjoy our vacation and only take cell phone pictures that only we see.
It's a very complex situation. And if you've ever seen it being done, like we've seen other families in person making their kids the primary focus of their videos. We've even seen reality TV shows that are being filmed to where the kids are the primary focus. And it's a very uncomfortable thing to see in real life, to have these kids constantly having, a team of adults, producers, cameramen, all basically prompting and directing them. It's just nothing we've ever wanted to do. We never want to make our kids the primary focus of our channel ever, because for us personally, it's just, and for me, it's honestly kind of gross. I think.
I don't ever want the kids to have to act or ever have to do something again.
No.
Like, I've seen other like it was a reality show that was being filmed when we were watching it, and they were like, the kids said something, they're like, wait, can you say that again but with more enthusiasm?
Right.
And it was, and then the kid got upset, and then they're filming that, and it's just, we never wanted that. So that's why we said no to reality TV and stuff, because we always wanted to have control.
Correct. Not a knock on anybody that does that, but I think from the audience perspective, it's something to be mindful and very discerning of, because it's not always a good thing. And to take it to an extreme, I mean, the people who do make their kids the primary focus, it's growing up is very complicated, and it's difficult enough without also adding this complexity of like, hey, cameras and adults and coaching and prompting and all that. It's just something we want to avoid and never do for ourselves.
Yeah. I think it kind of gives all family vlogs. I consider us more of a lifestyle channel than a family vlog, but our kids, we wanted to make it where our kids could duck out or not be in it at all if they didn't want to, and it wouldn't affect anything. Where there's family vlogs, which are like kind of under attack right now on social media. People are like, say no to family vlogs, don't watch them, don't support them. Where the kids are like, in every thumbnail, and the whole family's financial empire depends on this 8-year-old.
Yeah, that's not fair.
And that's a lot of pressure for a child. And like, I'm in agreement as a vlogger that has kids that you should say no to that kind of content, because it's predatory.
It's yucky.
It's yucky. Okay, so moving on from that. How do we work so well as a couple, and do we argue on the build or in the business?
Go ahead.
Sometimes we have gotten a lot better at working together. It was hard because we had very, very different traditional roles before we moved out here, and now we're running a business together. So anyone that has run a business with their spouse or has built a house with their spouse can attest to that there are challenges, because we're different people. And now there's not these distinct traditional roles. Now it's like you're trying to work together.
Yeah, it was a lot different when we first came on here. Like when we were building, this little tiny home structure that we're in currently, which has become the podcast studio. Yeah, there was a lot of learning. There was a lot of adjustment. There was a lot of like recalibration of how we accomplish a common goal, but get it done together. And, we didn't work in building anything.
No.
I always joke that before tackling this, that I couldn't even assemble furniture. And so we're all trying to figure that out together.
Well, it was IKEA furniture. No one can assemble IKEA furniture.
So it's something that's gotten better over time. I think we're very dialed in with the way we get things done now. And then on the business side of things, yeah, we don't always agree. Have there been arguments along the way? Yeah, 100%. You guys have seen portions of that, but you were completely unaware of it thanks to video editing. So in certain situations where there's been like a very light conflict between Melissa and I while trying to get something done, all of that audio has been dropped. There's been pretty music that's been put over it. And so
I can think of one in particular, when we're siding.
Yeah, siding. We had an argument one time when we were siding. I don't remember what the frustration was.
The piece wasn't fitting and it was really hot. And I think you were just already agitated. And then like I wasn't lifting right or something. Or we were trying to go up a ladder. These pieces are like 80 pounds. And like when one person puts pressure on one long end, it like will swing the other person out. Yeah. And I was like, you're swinging me off the ladder. And you're like, you're controlling that end. And I'm like, you're controlling my end, because you're like levering it. And you're like, no, that's not how it works. We got in this huge thing. And then you chuck the piece. and then I like jumped off the ladder and I was like, I'm done. I'm going in. And you're like, what about the wall? And I'm like, screw it. So this is how this went. Drop audio, add love song, fade to black.
No, so we're real people. We have, we've been together for 20 years now. We've been married for a long time, and conflict arises. We're not immune from that. I get that the perception is what it is, because you guys get 20-minute highlight reels of what is an entire week. And I think more, we have a tendency to argue more so about like the business end of things than
we will argue more over like a title or a thumbnail than working together.
Yeah, and not to go back to the YouTube like business stuff, but it's very, very stressful, and there's a lot that goes into it. You guys,
and everything hinges on those little decisions right out the gate.
Yeah,
and so if we disagree, then it's like, well, then I guess you're going to blow the video up.
Viewers see the 20-minute end result of what is probably collectively 80, 90, 100 hours in a given week of us answering emails, taking phone calls, doing these stupid what are the video conference
Jeremy
calls.
Hates Zoom calls.
I hate the Zoom calls.
I just take the Zoom calls now but like working with brands and working with agencies and things like that make this all go round and make this all possible and make it so that we can produce a video a week. There's a lot of back end business meetings and stuff.
Yeah, and we're not complaining. We're very
super grateful.
Super
for
grateful,
it.
super gracious that we're able to do that. It's just,
Yeah.
running a business is what it is, whether you're
Yeah.
running a restaurant, a gym, or a YouTube channel. There's just a lot that gets poured into
Right.
it. And sometimes that causes a lot of stress, which results in an argument between you and I.
Mm-hmm.
We're real people. We're a real married couple. We are not immune from the things that so many of you out there also become involved in, like little entanglements with your partner.
I think that's important to be honest about, because if other people decide like we want to start a business or we want to start a YouTube channel or we want to build a house together and then they're arguing, they could be like, well, this channel doesn't argue or that channel doesn't argue. They're always laughing. It's just not, it's a 20-minute highlight reel. We're not going to include when Jeremy levers me off a ladder. And
Why is it always me? Why is it always me?
Because you were controlling that end, Jeremy.
No, so true though. I don't think there's not a married couple out there that doesn't have
Right.
the occasional spat with one another. It happens, and yeah, like I said, we're not immune to from that.
Yeah, you're right. Okay,
yeah.
Moving on. All right. What is next after Gabby?
So we have a number of projects that we want to do here on the property. We referenced some of those before, like a pew pew range, boom boom range. If you guys know what I'm talking about, we want to do that. There's some additional really big projects that we want to get done. I don't even want to float any of that out there because of the copycat nature of YouTube, which is a whole separate discussion. But if I were to put something out there now, there are other people who would try to pounce on it because
there's just some more really exciting, a lot of property development, a lot of sustainability projects coming up. So
yeah, we have
lots coming up.
we have a lot coming up, a lot of projects, and yeah, we're looking forward to that.
All right.
I'll leave it at that.
Moving on.
Okay.
Would you be willing to meet subscribers?
We've met a lot of subscribers in the past, but just through random run-ins. Kind of like Melissa mentioned before, we're just for like safety purposes. I guess, I don't know, I have a law enforcement background and I tend to err more so on the slightly paranoid side when it comes to safety things. So we are a little reluctant to put out our date, time, and location for any type of
our kids.
Yeah, for the sake of ourselves, for the sake of our kids, and just, trying to be smart about things.
But if you see us in public, please don't be like afraid to come up and say hi. We love when people come up and say hi. Ask, like, people will be like, can we get a selfie or something? I want to show my husband. Like, yeah, 100%. I think that's great. We appreciate you guys so much. We love when you say hi. Please do not feel like you're bugging us.
Yeah, we actually really love those interactions. It makes things very real for us. It's one thing to see a number on a screen, but to have people come up and be like, hey, love what you guys do.
Yeah.
Thank you. Really enjoy it. It's very heartwarming. Who doesn't like to be randomly complimented by random strangers?
Please compliment us if you see
No,
us.
and I'm not saying that.
No.
Even if you have a critique, that's fine too.
Yeah.
It's just,
Most people come up and say, wow, you guys are really short.
Yeah, it's really nice. We like those interactions, so please don't shy away from it. But yeah, just we're a little reluctant to put ourselves out there with, like I said, a set date, time, and location. It's just, things can happen.
Plus, it feels weird to be like, come meet us, because we're not celebrities, we're not special.
No,
we're
wasn't
just
that another
a
question
family
in here?
Yeah, in your town or when you travel, are you treated like a celebrity?
No, well, no. I mean, people will occasionally have like, weird reactions, which I've been guilty of myself. Like, it's exciting to see somebody that you know from like just a screen, and be like, oh, there they are in real life. Holy cow, this is crazy. But yeah, no, we're not celebrities. I wouldn't say anybody on, maybe like those super high end people that are on YouTube, but we're not. We're people who document our lives, put it out there. We appreciate that. So many of you have taken an interest in what we do, and that's great.
But
yeah,
literally at no higher status than anyone else. So
no, I was cringe. I've heard people refer to themselves as being celebrities. I'm like,
please
what?
don't do
You're
that.
not.
You're not a celebrity unless you're like a movie star or you won a Grammy.
I don't. The whole concept of celebrity is very weird. Makes me very uncomfortable. But yeah,
why anyone would want to be a
we're
celebrity.
definitely not that. So
yeah, no. Do we read all of our comments, and why don't we reply to people? Do you have to pay money to get a reply from us?
No, that was another comment that came in. I was like,
I got another one today. Like, I guess if I don't pay you money, you don't reply.
I don't know where this is coming from.
I don't know. You can't pay us money to reply. That's kind of weird. Nobody pays us money.
Is it the
Google
channel?
pays us money and brands pay us money. Subscribers don't pay us money.
Is it the channel membership side of things? Maybe.
We do have a channel membership. It's like $1.99 a month. It's like nothing, but because you had to charge something, I think that was the lowest you could charge. And I guess that makes you more visible. And then if we, like when we got Ludo, our puppy, we'll put out like little fun member polls. Usually our members will choose the name of our animals and things like that. Just kind of a fun way to interact with people.
But it's not a requirement whatsoever. And to respond directly to that question, yeah, we read We read probably 99% of the comments that come in. I don't do the Insta face, all that stuff. So
Face.
the Faceagram.
It's very rare that we will reply via Facebook or Instagram because there's too many messages.
It's too much.
It's like hundreds and hundreds of messages or comments, and it's not personal if you don't get a reply. It's literally that we just can't because we're parents and we homeschool and we homestead and we have animals and horses to ride. And if we just sat there face down in a cell phone, it would literally make us the worst parents ever.
Yeah, but we do read the overwhelming majority of what comes in, probably very close to 100% of it, positive, negative. We take it into consideration.
All right,
but
so,
it's impossible for us to respond to everything. So please don't take it personally.
So that rolls us into the very last YouTube question, and then we will get on to other stuff. What do we do for our mental health, and how do we balance homeschool, family, farm, and YouTube?
We don't.
Yeah.
It's the simple answer. We don't. We have many discussions amongst ourselves about trying to strike that balance. It's really tough to do. I don't think that's unique to us. I think for many people who take on entrepreneurial ventures, it's very hard because you have to pour yourself into your business, but that always comes at a cost, whether it be on the family side of things. It causes a tremendous amount of stress. And really my solution for that is to try to alleviate that by putting the screens away as much as possible. I don't always do a great job with that. But yeah, just holding on to the things that truly, genuinely matter in life, spending time with the kids, going for family walks. I like to run. I like physical activity. I do the cold plunge periodically, which I know has become very stereotypical on the internet. But just I try to hold on to what is real and realize that the online world is the online world. It is not an accurate depiction of what should ultimately really matter in your own personal life. And it certainly shouldn't distort your own self-perception, because a lot of people fall victim to that, because you have hundreds of thousands of people telling you what you are, what their thoughts and opinions are on you and what it is you're doing. It can result in that, and that's not healthy.
Yeah, you can really lose yourself and your voice when you are a video creator or an influencer or whatever people want to call themselves, because no human brain was designed to have thousands or millions of positive comments thrown their way, compliments and everything like that. That distorts your self-image, your worldview, but also so much criticism and negative comments and comments about your weight and your looks and every decision you make regarding animals or your children or homeschool or whatever. Yeah. It's a lot of input. And the brain wasn't meant for that much feedback. And so you have to know how to categorize it or shut it off.
And I think a lot of people aren't sympathetic to that. Not that we are asking for your sympathies. We are not victims in this situation. This is what we chose to do. These are the things that you have to subject yourself to.
But people get mad. Like, you don't listen to me. I told you this and you didn't listen.
Literally.
And it's like, well, yeah, we got 200 different suggestions.
Right.
So, like, you have to realize at the end of the day that we're just real people making decisions for our family based on our morals, our worldview, our goals for the future. And the noise outside sometimes has to be shut off so that we can make decisions for our family.
What I was going to say was, back before we were doing this, I was just a police officer. I didn't have to take, hundreds of thousands of people's opinions of me into consideration. And it's an easy thing to be very dismissive of it when you're not doing it. When you start doing it, you start to feel the effects of that.
Of a single negative comment.
Yeah, and you look at it very, very differently. Again, not that I'm trying to portray ourselves to be victims in this situation by any means, but it's something that I feel like you can't really understand until you experience it. So.
But I think it can mess with your mental health. I think particularly more if you're young and all you've ever done is YouTube or Instagram or something like that. That could probably affect you more and the way that you view yourself. Where we started this way later in life, we worked regular jobs, and we grew up without the internet. And so I think we can compartmentalize it a little bit better than someone that's maybe younger, where it could really affect their mental health.
Yeah, it's a lot to deal with. It really is. I would love to say that it doesn't affect me, but it does. If I'm being totally transparent and honest, it does. It'll dictate my mood on certain days, or a certain comment that comes in that just cuts a little too close, or is just...
or it's something that you were feeling insecure about, and then they
when somebody taps into something that you're like, oh, man.
Yeah, and then they say it. You're like, everyone thinks this.
Yeah, and it's ruthless because it's the internet and there's zero accountability. So people will be over the top about being... either really blunt, or they'll go out of their way to be as nasty as possible. Yeah. And that can be tough to deal with because on this end of things, there's really nothing we can do about it.
Yeah. So as far as how we balance our time, there's only so much time in a day. We have to homeschool. Like why do you start your project so late? Why do you only get this much done in a day? Because we're homeschooling 4 kids. But that has fallen more than it used to. I used to be so much more creative with homeschool. I used to spend the whole day doing it. And now it's like, okay, we got to get these lessons done. We don't have time for this special art project because we have to do some roofing.
Yeah.
So something always has to give when you add something new. I do feel like we've missed out on family time more so. I've missed it. You've gotten more family time because you're not working all the time as far as a police officer. So you're home for all the holidays. You're home in the evening. You're there in the morning to sit around. You're always there at family dinner now, which I love that we have family dinner where we say a prayer, we sit around the table and we eat dinner.
Holidays, birthdays,
all of that is improved. But for me, I've had less time with the kids because now I'm working and I wasn't before.
The simple answer to that, though, is we don't have the simple solution to any of these issues. Like I said, our life oftentimes now is I would consider it to be very imbalanced. We constantly are trying to improve upon that, whether it be cutting back on the amount that we're filming, the amount that we're posting, because once upon a time we weren't posting once a week.
The complexity of some of the videos, even like we used to try to do like complete start to finish projects in each video, and we would work so long. We'd work 7 days sometimes to get the project finished, and now it's like, no, we're going to go on a walk.
Yeah, it's a matter of priorities, right? So and we're kind of in a different spot now than we were like when we were building the house, because we were craving that comfort. We wanted that sense of normal.
Flushing toilet.
That
was so important.
We were working so hard to try to accomplish that for ourselves. Now we've found that normal, and so we've tried to shuffle things as far as our priorities go, with making sure we're getting that family time in, and maybe pushing a project aside. Or I always tell you, like, I can only do what I can do as far as the amount that we accomplish when tackling projects. So,
I think mentally we're in a way healthier place this year than we were in the past 3 years. I am anyway. I felt like we just worked. Sometimes I would glance over at the kids and I'm just like, I was just craving, like wanting to go do something with them. We weren't traveling. We weren't doing anything. And now it's like, let's go to Hawaii. Let's go do this. Let's go hiking today. And before it was like, no, we can't. We have to finish this. And we don't do that to ourselves anymore. And I really encourage anyone who runs a business or is starting YouTube, please don't do that to yourself. It's not necessary. We didn't need to do that to ourselves. But we did. We learned a lot from it, and now we're trying to fix it.
Yeah, we're a work in progress. We're still trying to do even better than we are.
All right, let's move on from YouTube.
Yes, please.
Woo! Okay. There were a couple questions about the build, but maybe we'll touch on that a little bit later. Let's get into some more juicy things. One question about the podcast. This is kind of a misconception too. Has the podcast replaced GSL videos?
No, is the short answer. This is something that we tackled because it's a great opportunity for us to glean and learn from other people that we thought we'd never have the opportunity to speak to. There have been so many guests where we always joke after the fact. There are times and moments where we have guests, especially where I'm sitting across the table,
going, "Oh my god!"
Going, "I cannot believe this person's like talking to me, sitting across from me at a table right now."
Why did they agree to this? No,
we kind of have our own selfish reasons for wanting to do the podcast, honestly, because it's such a great opportunity and trying to take advantage of the fact that we've established, a little bit of an online presence for ourselves. And it's amazing. It's an incredible experience. It's exciting to walk into a room and be like, hey, today I get to spend an hour and a half talking to whoever. It's really been incredible. And this is never going to replace what we do on Good Simple Living.
It doesn't replace videos. They're different channels. They're different posting days. And one does not take away from the other.
Correct. Yeah, this is just extra. That's really all it is.
All right, relationship. So this one kind of ties into how do you get along after 20 years?
Great, for the most part. But again, we have our moments.
We're people. Yeah. But for the most part, good.
Yeah, really well. We balance each other out. We've talked about this at nauseum here on the podcast, especially. And we're not the same person. We don't have the same personality type, but we balance each other out so well. And Melissa's my person. She's my refuge. She's the person that I go to.
Grey's Anatomy reference, your person.
What? Really?
Yeah, they always have a person on Grey's Anatomy.
I hate that show. I don't like Grey's Anatomy.
You just called me your person.
You are my person. I'm
your Meredith.
Yes.
He hasn't seen the show. Okay, so I agree. It's funny when a lot of times when we get into arguments, it will often be around, like when people say you'll argue about your kids, it'll be about parenting a lot of times because we are so different. We parent so differently. And I think we're supposed to parent differently and we need to allow each other the grace to do so. Like we have very traditional personalities for our genders. So you are a very traditional, like, man, leader of the family, authoritative, disciplinary. You fall into that role. Like, when you see the kids acting up, you'll be like, knock it off. Like, and that's, you're supposed to do that. And then I'm the softer mom that, like, when the kids are walking away, like, meh, dad yelled at me, I'll, like, you know, give him a wink or something. Like, it's fine. Yeah. So, and then, like, that irritates you. But then I'm like, I'll tell you, like,
no, it doesn't irritate
try
me.
to be calmer. Like,
no, that's not true.
Approach them like be calm. And then you'll be like, you need to step up. You need to point out when they're doing bad. And stop trying to be like...
That doesn't irritate me, and it's not always that one-sided. There, you come down on the kids as well, and then there are times where I have to be the softer parent.
Yeah,
but again,
true.
It's a matter of striking this balance, and I think we
like
do a great job of that.
that's when moms freak out, is like when you're running late and the house is a mess. That's it. Like, and then you're like, relax.
Yeah, no, but we get along really well, despite everything that we said earlier. Like 99% of the time, things are running smoothly. We're on the same page.
We do balance each other. The only time that I really find conflict is when I want you to be more like me, or you want me to be more like you. And that's not possible because we have different traits, we have different gifts, we have different weaknesses, and we need to just remember that about each other.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna approach a situation like you do, and you're never gonna approach a situation like I do. And that's probably why things run smoothly. And the only time they don't is when we try to force those rules to change.
We're very blessed to have a very well-oiled machine. And I think when you find the right partner, especially over time, when you learn about, one another's personality traits, your strengths, your weaknesses, things have a tendency to run smoothly. So as long as you have a partner that you're on the same page with, like marriage for us, and I don't mean for this to come across as like arrogant in any way, but marriage for us is very easy. We have recognized in other people, where there's constant conflict and they are not on the same page, and we're like, man, we never experienced that. Like, our relationship never feels that way ever.
Yeah.
So
I mean, someone asked for like relationship advice too, and I would just say, whether you've been together a long time or you're starting out, is make sure that you're with somebody you respect and trust. And then embrace what you love about them that is different from you, and don't try to change who they are. If you feel like you have to change who they are, then they're probably just not someone you're compatible with. And you don't have to be the same to be compatible, but you do need to respect each other's differences.
Yeah, just love one another. We're not the authority on this by any means.
Right.
Just if you find the right person, just love them for who they are, and hopefully things run smoothly.
Great. Okay. Do we go on dates or vacations alone?
Not really, honestly. And I get that might be weird or sound weird to people, because we've had a lot of people encourage us to do exactly that over the years. Family members, friends, people who just, even people online have made that recommendation to us.
Like, just go on. I feel like dates are fine, going to dinner and stuff, but I just can't picture going on a vacation.
Never.
Without the kids.
There's no way. I would never want to do that.
Like, what if there was an elephant there or something and the kids... I don't know why there'd be an elephant, but if there were an elephant, I'd be like, oh, why aren't the kids here to see the elephant? Like, if anything exciting happened on the trip at all, I would regret them not being there, because our kids are homeschooled. We do live literally in the middle of nowhere in the mountains. And every new experience that we can give them is so important that I would never leave them out of new experiences.
Yeah, Melissa and I will go out by ourselves maybe once a year.
Yeah, like
which
dinner.
I know sounds crazy to people, but we're very family. We're very family oriented. We place a heavy emphasis on making sure that we're there for the kids. And I guess people would make the argument that that's the reason we should take time out for ourselves. But every time we do something on our own, we always just talk about the kids, and we kind of end up missing them. Which maybe that's not...
Or like hurrying home. Like, we still do that. Like, people that have babies and our kids are like teenagers, and we're like, we got to get home.
Maybe that's not super healthy, but
bring them the leftovers.
You have a very narrow, like very short period of time ultimately in life. If you're blessed to live a full, very long life, you only get so much time with your kids, and we place a heavy emphasis on that, like I said. And
we really enjoy our family.
We do.
And we don't really enjoy when they're gone.
And I honestly have zero concerns about like our emptiness period. I mean, it's going to suck. I'm going to be super sad, but I'm not... It's not my concern that...
I hope it's not a thing.
It's not my concern that you and I are going to look at each other suddenly of like, hey, you're a stranger to me. Yeah, that's never been the case. And so while I can appreciate the concern that others might have, and I don't know, maybe I'm wrong on this, but it's as it stands, I am not concerned whatsoever about that period of life.
That's when we'll go on our own trips and stuff.
Exactly.
Probably not, because by the time our youngest is an adult, we'll probably have grandkids. And then if we're going to like let's go to Florida. We're going to be like, hey, can we take the grandkids? Like, we're totally going to be trying to steal the kids all the time.
Yeah, just family is important to us. It's family means everything to us, and you know, obviously we have our 4 kids, and they mean everything to us. And so our lives are, again, this might sound unhealthy, but our lives are kind of dictated by our children.
Yeah, and our choices for the future are too. And by no means do they need to stay here. But that was another question: are we going to be building the kids' homes here on the property?
Only if they want that. Yeah. If they choose that for themselves, and of course we are in favor of that. The ultimate dream would be for us to have all of our kids, all of our grandkids, all living here on this property or whatever property is we manage to acquire over time. That's kind of our goal and vision for ourselves ultimately, and
or at least have that option for them. Like if they're struggling or they need property or something, like, hey, we got 5 acres for you. Let's do it, guys.
But there's zero pressure there. If they decide to branch out and live across country, it'd be tremendously upsetting. But at the same time, I say no pressure.
That's when I steal the grandkids and take them to Florida.
But then I follow up with that. It's ultimately up to them. We just want to make sure that we facilitate the opportunity for them to choose that for themselves.
So possibly, maybe that's where the channel goes.
And maybe that's where the channel goes. And if they want help with building in their own home, of course, I will help with that, depending on how I feel. But
they're going to be like, Dad, it's drywall week.
Yeah, I'll do what I can. If I'm 65 years old when that happens and I'm not feeling up to the task, then maybe not. But yeah, that is the dream.
All right. How tall are we really?
6'3" and 5'9".
So that makes literally, I think when starting to podcast, like when we have a guest, we'll try to take a photo with them or something. And I think that's been really telling that we're not.
We're little
tall.
people.
Either that or every guest we get is as tall as Bigfoot.
This started out as a joke because we're like, hey, we're putting ourselves online. Nobody knows that we're as short as we are. So we can just tell them that, hey, we're 6'3", 5'9", and everyone will believe it. And so oftentimes we're one of the people in public when we have these interactions, and the first thing out of their mouth will so oftentimes be, wow, you guys really are short, which we are.
I'm like 5 feet tall. So that's why like Bethany Hamilton looks so tall next to me. She's not a gigantic person. She's just like a supermodel. She's 5'11", and she had heels on, like all supermodels. And she had like 14 inches on me. And it was so telling, like, oh my gosh, Melissa's a child.
So Melissa's a little mini person, 5 feet tall. And I am 5'7".
So our boys are hoping to be 5'7", but with a mom who's 5 feet tall, and we're a small family. Nevaeh's like 5'3", and she is super tall for a girl in our family.
Please don't tell anyone if you're watching.
Yeah.
We have a smaller audience on this side of things, so maybe let's just keep this between us. Keep it to ourselves.
Just don't tell anyone. So 6'3", 5'9", like Cindy Crawford.
Stick with that narrative.
All right. Okay. This was one that came up in the last video. We knew it was coming. I've gotten some very, very mean messages. Why did we not adopt a dog? Do you want me to tackle it?
I mean, my short answer is because we wanted a specific dog. We had the opportunity to get it, and so that's what we did.
Yeah. So I will say we did not adopt a dog. I did look at all the shelters. There are like 7 between here and where we got our dog in Spokane. The other thing is he is a Brazilian golden retriever, but we did not import him from Brazil. Because he came on an airplane, people are like, so you imported a dog? No, he came from just another state, and he had to fly on the airplane because driving to get him would have been like way costlier. Like we were able to get like a Spirit airline ticket for like $200.
He was in Indiana, and so he had to be flown out here.
He was flown here, but he was not imported from Brazil.
No.
That's just his breed.
What's the longer answer though? Because you looked into this.
I did look into all the shelters. There was one dog that was 3 years old, but he was a Pitbull, and I understand that it is a highly misunderstood breed. We have owned 2 of them. One of them bit my sister.
I've had four pit bulls in my life.
I would not bring a rescue pit bull to a farm with small children and baby sheep running around, because or really any adult dog, because I do not know their history. I do not know if they've been abused. I do not know if they were surrendered in a when you live in a ranch farming community, you always have to wonder, were dogs surrendered because they were livestock eaters, which is often the case. If we brought a rescue here and he was really sweet with people and everything, but we went to the grocery store and he ripped the throat out of our sheep, like I would never forgive myself for that. And we don't know these dogs' background. So there was one that was 3. All the other dogs were 5 to 8 years old. There was one that looked like we wanted a golden retriever. It's really what Eli wanted, because he wants a dog that will play in the water and fetch with him. He's 9 years old and he wants a dog he can grow up with and play with. And I did find one that was like a half golden mix, but he was 8 years old. and he was already like graying on the muzzle. And if he only lived 2 years or something, that's just going to break Eli's heart all over again. So we wanted a puppy that we're going to have for a really long time, that we can train, that we can trust 100% to not kill our livestock, to not bite our kids, to not have any trauma or abuse in his past. If we were just a couple or a single person or something like that, I think it is such a beautiful thing to give a dog a home that needs a home.
Yeah.
But when you have livestock and small kids, your responsibility, you can disagree with me all you want, but I'm not apologizing for this. My responsibility, our responsibility is to our children and to our existing livestock. And so to bring in a dog where we don't know if they are going to be safe was just too high of a risk. We already dealt with that with a rescue horse. We do rescue horses. And so it's not like we don't rescue animals. Coda didn't work out here as a rescue, but we found him a great home and everything. And
he's doing great.
He's doing great. He's doing rodeo and everything like that. And so I think it's so fun.
No, I think it's a beautiful thing. Not to discourage anyone from rescuing animals, rescuing dogs. It's just not what we were wanting to do, and so it didn't pan out that way.
Yeah, it just didn't fit for us in our area with the dogs that were available, and we wanted a golden retriever puppy.
Yeah, and to tie this back into what it is we were discussing earlier about
making choices for your family,
making choices for your family, and the critiques from people online. Again, we can't allow for outsiders to dictate our decision making process, and so. Again, the short answer is we wanted a puppy that the kids could grow up with. We wanted a particular puppy. We were provided with an opportunity to obtain one thanks to one of our subscribers who happened to be a breeder of
the exact
said
breed that Eli wanted.
Yeah, it worked out. If other people out there want to rescue animals, God bless you. I love it. It's fantastic. I think it's a beautiful gesture. It's a very noble gesture, very noble, awesome thing to do. But that just wasn't the case for us. And so I understand the critiques, but we decided, and based upon what it is we thought was best for ourselves and what our own personal desires were for our family.
Okay, what religion or church do we go to?
Go ahead.
All right, so we are non-denominational Christian. We do not belong to any actual religious group or organization or denomination of Christianity. And we have not found a church. We do not attend church. I would like to, but we just haven't found a good fit. We tried several churches back in Vancouver and Battleground, and they were just never a good fit. We're not super good at belonging or being somewhere.
Yeah.
On a schedule.
Yeah.
And so we kind of...
And I guess my own personal thing, like I think, again, I'll probably catch some flack for this. I think churches are great. I think if you're a member of a church, it's an awesome thing. There's an awesome sense of community and family that comes along with being a part of a church congregation. However, for us, I've always kind of battled with the entire concept of having an intermediary between myself and my relationship with God and with Christ. I like to get things straight from the horse's mouth. I don't like being told how
ask
to
your pastor for permission, I don't know,
or just having another sinner, another faulty human being instill within me their own interpretation of faith and how to properly go about it. It's always been a very personal thing for me, and I think church is more so beneficial for the things that I mentioned, that sense of community, that sense of finding, a secondary family, that church family. And I think those things are awesome. It's just something that we've had difficulty with finding the proper fit over time. So that's the reason we don't. That may change in the future.
So maybe in time.
Yeah, we have discussed it. And if we found the right situation, I wouldn't be opposed to it by any means. We're just not there. And it's difficult with where we are because we're so far out.
Yeah.
So that's where we are.
Okay. Have we been baptized?
Have not been baptized. I was, I guess, christened as a child because I have a Catholic family. Yeah, my grandparents were all Catholic, so I was baptized as a baby, but that wasn't a conscious decision on my part.
Right. I feel like baptism should be a conscious decision. So it's something that we'd love to do as a family. Mm-hmm. We've talked about it. We wanted to go to Israel and do it and be baptized where Jesus was baptized, but obviously things have changed over there, and I don't know that that's a good place to bring the kids right now. So, and I don't know that that's going to improve in the future, so maybe that plan is out.
Well, talking about this, I suggested Hawaii because, hey, it's another excuse to go back to Hawaii.
Jeremy's just like, we should get baptized in Hawaii.
Yeah, so it's not something we're opposed to. I will say it's also something that I don't necessarily view as a requirement. We are not Baptists. We are non-denominational Christians. But
Jesus got baptized.
I know, yeah, and I think it's great, but I don't think that in it's...
My yaya says you have to be.
Not even that it's... Yeah, there are a lot of people who say that, but it's... And this is a point of...
I would still like to do.
This is a point of debate for many people, but I don't view it as a necessary requirement for your own personal salvation.
Okay. I I think it'd be cool to do though as a family, just as
I
like a bonding thing
completely
and
agree.
as a statement of faith.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
100%.
Okay. What do we do for medical and dental insurance?
This is a large hang up for many people. We've gotten this question a bunch because we left a very safe career where we had medical, dental, vision, all that stuff. I will say that you should not allow for that to be a hang up. It's not a reason to stay in a situation that maybe you're unhappy in your career. It's
Right.
not a reason to stay. I would highly encourage anyone just to do your research. There are a number of options out there. And for us, I'll let you give the breakdown since you did all the shopping for this. But
Yeah.
we use a Christian co-op for a medical, right? Dental. Again, I'll let you break that down. But before diving into that, I just want to encourage anybody out there. If you're wanting to take a leap and leave your line of work, do not let the abandonment.
Don't let insurance get between you and your dream.
Yes, 100%.
Okay, so for dental, what we did is we called all the dental offices, and a lot of dental offices in smaller towns or even in cities will offer for families that don't have insurance family plans, and you can pay for ours. It's like $100 a year, and then that gets us into the family plan, and then we get 50% off all dental care and like $99 cleanings. That's actually very similar to the price if you have like Delta Dental or some kind of dental plan. Is you do pay for insurance every month, plus you usually still pay like 30 or 40%. So oftentimes when you break it down, doing the family plan is the same price as paying for dental insurance through your job.
I think we pay less now
Probably.
than we did when I was in law enforcement.
Yeah.
It was expensive. It was a lot of money.
And then for medical, we use a Christian co-op. It's medical sharing, and you get like $99 ER visits, $99 ambulance rides, things like that. So it's very much like insurance, but it's way more affordable. For our entire family of 6, we pay like $450 a month for it. And then we have free preventative care with that. So it acts very much like insurance. Look into Christian co-op insurance. It's very affordable, and it's a really great option for large families. All right, moving on. Because,
This is like rapid fire. I love
know. What socialization do your kids get, and have they missed out due to the lifestyle choices you have made with rural living and homeschooling?
it. Yes, I guess would be a part of the answer. Longer answer in diving into this, because this is a very common
What's kind of
question
like
that we
missed
get.
out on what?
The things that I think most people would so our kids are socialized. They have attended a youth group. They have friends. They maybe have less friends than people who attend the kids who attend public school.
But they have good friends.
And live in the city. They have a very tightly knit friend group. Yes, they do get social interaction. I don't feel like our kids. If you were to see our kids interacting with their peers and people their own age, you wouldn't bat an eye at it. There isn't this wide disparity between kids that are homeschooled versus kids that attend public or private school.
I think kids that are homeschooled are like their parents. So if the parents are social or can do well in a group, we're not that social, but we do fine in a group.
We're not social.
Yeah, but like if we're at a barbecue or something, we can hold a conversation.
Yeah,
We're not
100%.
like these awkward, weird people.
I think they excel there, honestly. I think
Yeah.
they're probably ahead of their peers in many ways, and that being one of them.
Our kids act more like little adults,
Yes.
which adults appreciate. And I think that's important because you're going to spend the majority of your life being an adult. And I think it's very important to know how to behave in a restaurant and everything. I don't think being young is an excuse to act absolutely crazy and be annoying everyone around you. That makes you unlikable as a child. And it actually works in the favor of our children because like when we take them somewhere and they're behaving really well, they get noticed by people.
Yeah, it stands out.
Like when we were at that Christian conference, Tim Tebow came up to our kids and wanted to know them and talk to them. What are your guys' names? Because they weren't acting stupid. And so they got to sit there and talk to Tim Tebow, and he knew their names and everything by the time they left. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah, there are drawbacks with homeschooling your kids, but I don't think that those outweigh the benefits of who it is that they ultimately become. Sure, they don't get as much social interaction with their peers as their counterparts might, but there's been a lot of discussion about like what is normal. Don't you want your kids to be normal? Well, what is normal in today's day and age? No. I think if you go over the criteria of what a quote unquote normal child is at a given age, I if I'm being honest, don't want my kid to be the stereotypical 8, 10, 12, 14, 18-year-old. I do not.
Yeah.
I want them to be exceptional. And I think that is a natural byproduct of the way that we do things.
Yeah. And so the question, are your kids prepared for the world? I don't know that any kid is prepared for the world. I don't think public school prepares you for the world. I don't think university prepares you for the world. I think you adapt to the world as you join it. And so are things going to be a little more jarring for our children? Yes. When we travel with them and we take them to LA and they see someone shooting a needle up in the top of their foot, that is jarring to them.
Yeah.
That scares them. They want to go home. I want that to be jarring to them. That should be jarring. Like when you see some crazy, I mean, we were in Dallas and the women's convention was going on and there were...
The trans woman convention.
No, it was a women's convention. I
didn't see very many women there.
I know. Like our kids were like, you know, because they were like 6'4",
yeah,
you know,
so
and like hairy chests and stuff. And they were shocked by that.
Yes.
And I think that's good to be like, that's different. If they walked down the hallway and our kids were like, hey, Mom, can we go get a sandwich? I would be alarmed that that didn't raise their eyebrows of like something's different.
Yeah,
here.
we were just in Seattle. We were driving around downtown Seattle picking up Bethany Hamilton for our podcast or a number of transients and active drug users. Tragic, horrible, awful situation.
Prostitutes.
And our kids were not numb or blind to that. They weren't desensitized to that. It stood out to them as being abnormal because it is. Meanwhile, you see adults walking by these people who are in a moment of crisis on a daily basis, seemingly.
And they just don't even see it. They step over them.
Completely oblivious to it. If that's what normal is, again, to use that specifically as an example, I don't, in that sense, don't want my children to be normal. I want them to have a baseline stance on what I guess maybe a more idyllic version of the world should be, and where there are abnormalities, it should stand out and it should be acknowledged for what it is.
Yeah, I think if you're not shocked by things that should be shocking, you're just desensitized, and it's not a good thing to be numb or desensitized. I don't want my children to be desensitized to the woes of the world. I want them to aim for better. I want them to want to avoid these things in their own lives.
Yeah.
And not go, well, there's so much of this. This is normal. This is okay.
Does that mean
because it's not okay?
Does that mean that they'll have difficulty integrating into what is quote unquote normal?
I hope
sure,
so.
Probably.
But I hope so. I don't want them to integrate into that.
Right. But I guess, yeah, that's so our point being is we don't necessarily want that for our children.
Are they prepared for the world? Maybe not, but I don't view that as a negative. I don't hate that.
We do our best. Are any kids fully ready to immerse themselves in the quote unquote real world? I don't know that they are.
Okay, so here's a question more about like a homesteady type question. Do you still eat rabbits and raise your own food and canned food?
We do.
Yeah, we actually don't really eat rabbits anymore.
Yeah, we've kind of gotten away from that. We sell them more so
yes, we did. We used to.
As pets. We still do occasionally, right?
Not really. We haven't processed rabbits in over a year because...
Well, we have a bunch in the freezer, do we not?
Eli took over the rabbits. Okay, so Eli thinks he wants to be a rancher and a farmer, but here's the problem. Eli loves animals, and he becomes very attached to them. He named all of the baby grow-outs last year, all of them. I mean, we had Hernando, we had Jose. He names them after bull riders. Eduardo.
Eduardo.
Yeah, like any Brazilian bull rider, we got a rabbit named after you. So I had to find pet homes for 42 meaties that became like 4-H rabbits and pet rabbits. It was really difficult to find pet homes for 42 rabbits.
Yeah, but we still do all of these things. You were canning the other day with Kira. It's just not something that has been a primary focus on our channel. And so I think people have questions about that because that is how we started. But yeah, we still do all of those things.
Sometimes we don't film it because sometimes it's our escape and our therapy. So we do still grow our own food. We still do raise some of our own meat, but mostly we just support local farmers. We'll buy like our beef and or chicken and stuff like that from the Mennonite community because they can raise a chicken by the thousands for a more affordable price than we can raise 50 per chicken. And so it makes more sense to just support their venture and not have to drag 50 meaties around our yard.
And we have all of that knowledge based on our prior experience.
Yeah,
we know how to do all of these things, and I think it's good and very important to have that ability. It's just something that we've kind of gotten away from, honestly.
Yeah, we were just so busy building, but I think we'll get back into it. But yes, we still do can a lot of food. And that's why we built the big pantry and everything. Yep. And then we still have rabbits. If we needed to raise them for meat, we can. They're more of a prep, which goes into the next question. Are you guys preppers?
We've kind of discussed this before, right? We try to be as prepared as we possibly can be. No, I mean, if you came up with the like checklist criteria for what qualifies you as being a prepper, I think we would check a lot of those boxes.
I think we'd fit into the LDS category real nicely.
Yeah, a lot of people have suspected that we are
right?
Mormon because I guess we got 4 kids and we do a lot of preparatory type things.
Right. I think it's important to be really prepared. I'd love to do maybe get an expert on and do an episode on what every family should have.
Yeah, and that will be upcoming future episodes, I'm sure. Even with the self-sustainability aspect of what it is that we were hoping to ultimately do here on the property, those will be videos that you see over on the Good Simple Living side of things, whether it be like a solar setup, a whole house generator type setup,
Greenhouses.
Greenhouse build, stuff like that.
Bunker.
No. We have talked about it. You say no, we have talked about it though. So yeah, I mean, I guess most people probably would consider us more the prepper
minded.
But with where we live here, that's a very common and very normal thing. So it doesn't really stand out to us, and I don't necessarily like think of that label as being applicable to us. Even though maybe,
but like to somebody that lives like in an apartment in LA or something like that, or a condo in New York, we would come across as preppers to them.
Yeah.
Okay. Why do you use offensive hand symbols in your photos, Jeremy?
So this is a very commonly asked question because in almost every single photo that I take, especially if it's just like a organic snapshot, I will throw up the shaka. This is a shaka, the pinky, the thumb. It's a Hawaii thing. It's cultural. It's specific to me since that's where I was born and raised, and it has a number of meanings behind it, none of which are diabolical in any way.
It's not even the same fingers, guys. Like there's the devil horn thing that he keeps being accused of. Like, we literally had a whole thread going on that our family are secret Satanists and that we use satanic hand symbols to signal to the other Satanists that we are Satanists. And I'm not even joking. So it was like if you take the rock and roll symbol, which is index finger pinky, and you flip it, that's supposed to be like the symbol for being like a Satanist.
I don't know.
Anyway, we don't know anything about that. We are Christians 100%. It's not even the same symbol. It's thumb, pinky. It's literally one, like this is a sign language symbol now in like American Sign Language.
No, it's become very commonly used, but growing up, especially, again, this is a cultural thing unique to Hawaii. The shaka, it's kind of like the word aloha. It has a ton of meanings, all of which are very positive. It can be a greeting.
It can be like waving.
It can be a goodbye. It can be an expression of just happiness, of joy, all of that. And so just for me personally, and this is a very common thing in Hawaii as well, when you take a photo, you throw it up.
Symboling other Hawaiians.
It's a matter of pride. And for me, it's kind of like a personal shout out to all my friends and family and just Hawaii as a whole, the culture, saying, hey, like, hey, I live in Idaho now, but I haven't forgotten about you guys, like love and respect.
Yes.
And it's an expression, it's an outward expression of happiness and joy.
Yeah, we have been accused many, many times of signaling.
Don't make it weird, guys.
Yeah, don't
make it weird.
Yeah. And then like people were like, you know what, maybe you just shouldn't do any hand symbols at all. So like no thumbs up, no A-OK. Like just because this is universally recognized.
That's racist.
It is?
You can't do the A-OK. Yeah, that's like a white supremacy thing. Apparently. I don't know. I don't play into these narratives and these ridiculous thoughts.
Okay. I don't know. Okay. So anyway, American Sign Language is all hand symbols. So to be like, you can't use any hand symbols. Well, I don't even know. Anyway, it's not what some people think that it means. Like,
right.
Please stop looking into things that just are not there. What country or state would you love to travel to?
Italy is at the top of my own personal list. I've been out of the country, but not since I was a very young boy. I've been to the countries of El Salvador, believe it or not, for like a brief stop. And then I did a vacation.
El Salvador?
Yeah, as like a little pit stop on my way to Costa Rica, where I did like a 2-week-long vacation. Obviously, we've been to Canada. We've shown that what Canada is. Canada, it's our little brother.
Yeah.
So yeah,
neighbor to the north.
If I could go anywhere, at the top of my list would be Italy. Past that would be Japan. I love Japanese culture. Obviously, I've got like Japanese tattoos. I love all things Japan, Japanese. I love the
sushi.
Food. Yeah,
Ooh,
absolutely.
I could eat my way
food.
through Japan.
So we've talked about taking a family vacation at some point, but our lives have been so busy the past few years. It's something, again, that we need to prioritize, especially with the kids getting older.
I would like to do Europe now that the kids are getting older. I wanted them to be old enough to really remember it. Plus, I thought a trip to Europe with a long flight and everything would just be a nightmare with little kids.
Yeah.
Like just not even fun. I would like to wait for them to get a little older. I realize Nevaeh's going to be an adult, but there's still no reason she can't come. And if we're doing Italy, we are 100% doing Greece. I've been to Greece. I spent the summer there with my cousins and my yaya. Yaya has since passed away. We have her ashes, and she always wanted to be returned to her island in Samos. So I have a dream of finding her house. We went and visited her house, and it was just kind of the shell of a little house that she grew up in. There was a big olive tree there that she planted with her dad, and he was supposed to put a swing in it for her. But after World War II, she was shipped off to America on an arranged marriage, and she never saw him again. They never did the swing. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to go there on a mission with Yaya to find the house, to see if the tree is still there, to put the swing up. Like I had this dream of like putting some of her ashes like in like a resin type swing or something. I know it sounds really weird, and like letting her swing on her tree. Like I just think that would be so beautiful to be able to do for her.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. So we'll see if we can make that happen. I think, yeah, if we do take the time and have the massive expense of traveling to Europe, we'll probably make it an entire thing where we hit up as many spots as possible. But again, Italy would be at the top of my list. We've also discussed South Africa because we know people personally that have traveled there, and
Said it was amazing.
Everybody says it was like absolutely amazing. It's very affordable.
So far, man. I wish I could teleport. If I could teleport, I'd go to so many more places, but I hate air travel.
Remember that map? So I pulled this thing up of like, man, South Africa is like the opposite side of the earth. And so there's I think on Google, there's a website you can actually plug in your location and it'll give you the polar opposite side of the globe.
It was like 2 days of travel.
From where you are. And South Africa was literally almost exactly the opposite side of the earth from where we are here, which seems so bizarre. But people do it. We're not big travelers. It's something we like to do. And so we'll see if we can make that happen. And we'll probably document that if we do.
All right. The last two questions. These ones are a little bit heavy.
Uh-oh.
What is your biggest regret?
Personally?
Yeah.
Oh, you go first.
You can dish that off on me.
It's a big question.
Yeah, my biggest regret.
That's a tough one to answer.
I think it would just be like how I spent my time, maybe. Though I think that will always end up being my biggest regret. Like I don't really have any major regrets. I don't have a super strong testimony in my life as far as like doing something and then having to turn my whole life around. Like I've always been really just on a path, very mindful, very like, this is the direction I'm going. I'm going to seek out a husband. I'm going to have kids. Like, and I've always stayed on the path. I've never strayed. I've wanted to do some really exciting, adventurous things, like moving out into the middle of nowhere. And we did that. But maybe just the way I spent my time. I think I've wasted a lot of times on short content. I'll get in a reel hole for like an hour and I regret that. Like, I'm like, I want that hour back. Yeah, like I could have been reading to my kids.
That's why I hate shorts. Same thing would apply to me for sure. How it is that I've spent and redeemed my time here on this earth. Well, I think we've done a pretty good job with that overall. I think I don't live with a tremendous amount of regret. I think a part of it for me lies in worry for the future on looking back at some of the major life decisions that I've made. And I don't want to get into detail about it, but I think
What major life decisions have you made? You just said you don't want to get into detail. And I'm like,
I don't want to get into detail about it. Just, there are things that we can discuss off camera. I don't want to get into it on camera, but okay. I guess my worry lies in like becoming an older person, looking back and reviewing and analyzing just some of the life decisions that I've made and the way I've interacted and maintained relationships or not, and whether or not I will regret that decision in the future. I don't regret it currently, for the most part.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So it just I think I will question myself later in life.
Well, if you think you'll question yourself later in life, why don't you change it now?
Because I don't necessarily think that they were the wrong decisions to make. I just think that there will be an element, at least in part, of potential regret because you can't go back and change the past. You know?
I like to get burned a lot. Like if I make a choice and then sometimes I'll make a choice and then I'll go back on it in fear that I'll regret it.
Yeah.
And then like you'll get burned again and then you'll touch the fence again and then you touch the fence again. That validation sometimes can give you peace because it's like, nope, I did make the original right decisions. Like I don't think there's any harm in being like zapped again.
I don't live with a lot of regret. I live with a lot of worry. We were just discussing this yesterday, worrying about the future. And it's life is hard for so many of us. And there are so many elements that are out of our own personal control. And things happen, and that worry and anxiety is something that I live with a lot, but I do not live with regret.
Well, then maybe you do make wise decisions because maybe you worry about your decisions because you lack confidence. But the fact that you don't have any regret means that those were the right decisions. So maybe you should trust your choices.
Yeah, but it's easy to be confident in your decision making in the moment. but there are long-standing effects that you might in the future look back upon and be like, well, it turns out that I was incorrect in making that decision at the time, even though I am confident currently in where things lie. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't know. Worry is what I don't have something I can point to and be like, oh, I regret this. I really don't.
So that takes us to the very last question. Are we happy?
Are you happy?
I am happy. I'm a very grateful person. That where my unhappiness comes from, or my sadness comes from, I guess, would be I'm in what I could possibly lose. Like, I love our family so much. I miss our life in Battleground, not because I don't love our life in Idaho, but because in Battleground, I woke up in the morning with our kids small, so excited to see. Like, I would get up with my saggy tank top and my bun over here. I would just look awful. And all of my kids would be small and little. And I would have cups and I would warm up their chocolate milk. And we would snuggle on the couch and watch cartoons. And I yearn for those times again. Yeah. So the only time when I'm unhappy is when I remember the kids being so little and life was so simple. Even though it was chaotic and busy and it had its own stresses of like little kids, that was just my happy time. So I am very happy. We're in this in-between stage right now where I know that I'm going to embrace all of that again. I get to relive all of that again with my grandkids, God willing. But I miss it. I miss the happiest time.
Yeah.
Even though this is still a very happy time.
You're bumming me out right now.
I miss that.
You're bumming me out, and I have to answer this question about whether or not I'm happy. Yeah, I find it interesting that somebody would ask that.
I think because we appear very happy, and so it's like, are you guys really happy?
Yeah, it's more about maintaining that attitude of gratitude, right? Like there are always things that will make you unhappy, but for the most part, like we are such like ridiculously, tremendously blessed people. There are so many people that have to deal with things that I can't even wrap my head around in their own personal lives. And we have avoided much of that, not through any of our own doing. We've been so abundantly blessed, and I'm so grateful for that. And I'm extremely happy. I am.
I know. I'm just thinking about somebody else, which I'm sure you're aware of who I'm thinking of right now. And we've been very blessed. It's scary.
We're looking very sad for saying that we're
scary to be blessed. It's scary to be happy because it's a very vulnerable place to be. When everything's going well, you have so much to lose, and that can cause worry and anxiety, and you shouldn't ever focus on that. But I do feel like you should be aware of it so that you remain grateful for what you have. And life can change in a single second. Yeah. As we experienced this week with a friend, and
we're let me reiterate, because look at how sad and mopey we are
so
right
happy now. Guys.
No, we are very happy, we are very grateful, and I think again we live with worry and anxiety, like you mentioned a second ago, like I mentioned
to have
a second
so much
ago.
to lose is scary.
To be in a position where like, hey, things are so great, it's kind of scary in a weird way. You have so much to be appreciative for, that it just I like, for me, I'm always like, man, something's gonna ruin this. Like it's too good right now. Like there's a balance that needs to be struck here, and I mean something bad is going to happen. I constantly worry about that, but no, I'm so happy and grateful for what we have in each other, what we've managed to build, what we've been granted the opportunity to do. I'm so grateful. Our lives, we live such a, again, just so abundantly blessed, and it's such a special, unique thing that we've managed to pull off for ourselves, and
we have such an exciting journey ahead. Here with our family. We're very happy. We're very grateful. We have no idea where this journey is leading, and that's very vulnerable. So happy, yet vulnerable.
Yeah. Where do you derive happiness from, though? I mean, it's
just you guys, just family.
Ultimately, I was going to say the same thing. It's like,
if things aren't going well in the family, nothing else matters.
I think outsiders, and we all do this to each other, of like, oh, they have this, they have it, and so much of it is wrapped up in like material possessions and experiences, and it's like those aren't the things that's not where I derive my happiness from.
It's like that country song. The new country song about like happiness isn't found in bigger houses.
It's
like
not.
it's so
Yeah,
true.
it's so true.
You're
Yeah.
never going to find happiness in stuff. You can only find happiness in your own family. And if your family is broken or relationships are broken, you're just never going to find peace or happiness until you fix those.
Yeah.
And sometimes gratitude and happiness is a choice in saying,
It is.
what I have is enough. My cup is full.
Contentment.
Yep.
Which is also a struggle, but despite
It's
it
a
all,
struggle for everybody.
despite it all,
Especially in the age of the internet, in the age of YouTube, in the age of Instagram, comparison is a big evil monster.
it's the
thief
of
of
joy,
joy.
and it's all a portrayal. I want to pound that home. Maybe we can wind things down here by pounding that home. Is that, hey, you know what? Like, it's easy for people to look at us and be like, oh, look what they're doing, look what they have. I've been guilty of the same thing, and social media is awful in that regard. But it's also a tremendous blessing. It's all in how you use it, right? It's like weaponry. You can take a knife and use it as a tool and utilize it in the proper way to do amazing things, or you can use it and be destructive with it. And I think social media is the same thing. It can cause so much anxiety and unhappiness in people, and please don't allow for that to happen, because you need to understand. And I want to reiterate that, you know what, it's all a portrayal. It's maybe even something that we are guilty of ourselves to a certain degree. It's never the intention, but when you want to put
something good and positive out,
yes.
like it can make people feel good and hopeful, and like this is a good thing to strive for, but then it can also make people feel bad.
Yeah, it makes you feel inept by comparison.
Why isn't, like, we've had people say, I wish I can have these conversations with my wife. She only cares about this, or I don't have a good marriage like that. Well, then you need to fix that in yourself instead of comparing your relationship. Like, maybe try to figure out what's broken.
Yeah. And understand again that it's not about material possessions. It really isn't. I would give all of this up if it meant that, you know,
the kids were safe and healthy. That's that's literally the only thing that matters.
100%.
And if that wasn't the case, then like I couldn't find peace and happiness. So, it's just, it doesn't matter what other people have. It doesn't matter what other people's kids are doing. It doesn't matter what other people's marriages look like. It just matters what's going on in the walls of your home. And that's where you need to find peace and happiness.
Yeah, we struggle with that aspect as well. I mean, I do, for sure. So it's a good reminder. So, you know, wind it down on that note. We've been running a little long here, which is why I was talking.
There was a lot of questions.
So quickly. So love and appreciate you guys for being here. Thank you once again. We genuinely really do appreciate it. If you could just double check to make sure that you are subscribed to our channel. If you have been previously, we've had people that are being unsubscribed. And if you're new here, if by some chance you found this in some weird roundabout way on YouTube or any of the other platforms that we broadcast our podcast on, consider subscribing, following, doing all that. We appreciate you being here.
And next week we have a really exciting guest for you guys that you are probably going to know. So we're super excited.
Looking forward to that.
It's gonna be great.
100%. So thanks. We'll see you guys next week here on New World Old Soul. New Good Simple Living video will be out on Saturday.
Nefarious hand signal.
Nefarious hand signal. Aloha. Choo. Thanks, guys.
There ain't no telling where we'll go in the back of that 90-some Chevy. In the back of that 90-some Chevy.